afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I am here to ask you, or actually to tell you, you should have been there. You should have been at the spring conference in beautiful downtown renovated Stockton, California. That was on Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday morning. I elected to opt out on Sunday morning. I wanted to go home and sleep. It was very invigorating, it was very exciting, it was very inspirational, and it was all kinds of fun. Now you're thinking, how can a conference be all of those things? Well, it was. It's one of the better ones that I've been to, and I've been to 4 so far. The theme of the conference was Mardi Gras. Now let me tell you, when I walked in on Friday evening to sign up and all of that, there was folks walking around with assorted masks, costumes, and whimsical attitudes, I must say. They were all ready for fun. And what's interesting about this conference, for the very first time, they actually had competition on those that dressed up. Kind of bizarre, huh, for a conference, but it worked because it was Mardi Gras. And a couple actually won first prize because they put masks on just like on the program, if you can imagine. One was white and one was red. And they were very animated as they walked in front of everybody, and they were a lot of fun, so they won. But moving right along, the keynote speaker that evening on Friday was Cheryl Roche, and she's a past distinguished Toastmaster and also a divisional governor. And I'm passing around the brochure for the conference just for you to review, but also I'm passing around her handout, which was called Sparkletude, Bringing Out Your Brilliance. And my goodness, that woman had many stories to tell everyone of not only her life experience, but also her experience in Toastmasters. And she started out with something that was very sad, and she said, I want all of you to know right now that when I was 3 years old, I was molested. And I want you to know right now, let's just get it out there, that when I was 15, I was raped. And I also want you to know that my very first business went out of business. And the day I went out of business, I didn't know where I was going to stay or where my next meal was coming. And I took a nosedive into depression. Excuse me. And she said, and right after that, I tried to commit suicide twice. And I'm so thankful that I was not successful. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, how can we be inspired by all of this going on in this poor woman's life? But I want to tell you, she was the most positive, uplifting, fun, and happy person I have ever met, I must say. And it's all because she looked inward and discovered her strengths and discovered what she felt she needed to do. And one of the reasons why she discovered her inner self is she went to a Toastmasters meeting trying to figure out what Toastmasters meant. And when she went into that meeting, she said everyone was so pleasant and positive and welcomed her with open arms that she couldn't help but want to go again and learn more about the club. And so gradually, as she went through the Toastmasters program, she began to build self-confidence, she began to build positiveness, and she began to figure out that her calling in this world was to be a motivational speaker. And Toastmasters helped her in that direction. So now she's a well-paid motivational speaker, and she is worth every penny of whatever she says. She also gave a presentation on Saturday, which was a continuation of her Sparkletude self-discovery speech. And if you ever have the opportunity to see her or even talk to her, please do. You will be amazed at the information she has. And a little side story she had was that she gets called for many tasks, not only as a Toastmaster, but as a motivational speaker. And one of the circles that she's involved in is she's a driver for celebrities. Can you imagine? And one of the celebrities she ended up driving was Leonard Nimoy. And also in the card was David Sarboyle, what was he? He had a program on television as Hercules. And then another actor that I don't recall his name. But anyway, she told Leonard Nimoy that she had to drop him off a few minutes early because she had an appointment to make, and that she would be back to pick him up when his event was over. And Leonard said, oh, well, where are you going? What you doing? How long is it going to take? Those kinds of questions. And she was kind of taken aback because she didn't expect him to be interested at all. And she says, well, you know, I'm going to go to a Toastmasters meeting. I am the Toastmaster of the meeting, and I need to be there. And he said, oh, well, I was in Toastmasters. And she said, really? And he says, yes. And she said, when was that? And he said, 1954. So Leonard Nimoy was in the same club as we are in today. Isn't that fascinating? And then she went on to say that Debbie Fields also was in Toastmasters for a short time, and another person from the NBA, which, you know, sports and me don't agree. So anyway, so that was kind of fun, and she said a few more things about Leonard Nimoy, which was fun. But I haven't gone back to check our archives to see if he actually was in Toastmasters in 1954, but I'm sure he was, because she wouldn't say that if he wasn't. But it was all very interesting and fun. And on the papers that have been passed around in front of you, I'll go ahead and fill in the answers to you, for you as we move along. But on the Sparkle Tube boosters, on number 1, she said to start the day on a positive note always. Number 2 is have positive thoughts towards yourself and others. And number 3 was look for the good in yourself and others, because the bad sometimes is very obvious. Number 4, believe in yourself and talents and your unique gifts. Number 5 was don't take things personally. 6 was affirm a spirit of gratitude throughout the day, because everything you should be thankful for. And utilize your unconditional support systems. And those unconditional support systems, according to Cheryl, was number 1, your pets. Number 2, your faith belief system. Number 3, your passion for hobbies. And number 4, special people. And I thought that was a very interesting outlook for Cheryl. And she also said 4-year-olds laugh about 500 times a day. And as adults, we laugh maybe 10 to 12 if we're lucky. And she said, if you can really belly laugh, just from your belly on up for 15 minutes a day, that's worth 8 hours of exercising. So I'm thinking, I'm on board on that. I can do that. So I have to work on that. But I thought that was a great perspective. So anyway, her keynote speech was very inspirational and well thought out and really well presented. And I really, really appreciated being there. So not only I can hear her words of wisdom, but I can also share it with all of you here today. And just a real quick notation on the international speakers. There was 9 at the conference. And I want to tell you, the person I thought that had it down pat and would win without any question came in second. But they were all excellent. They were all wonderful, and they all deserved to win, and I'm not kidding. And I wrote down what they were talking about so you can see the diversity of these speeches. One person talked about how to look at little things mean a lot, even a red wagon in a garden. Another person talked about feeling rich, and that wasn't monetarily. Another person talked about his difficulties as a young boy and his family, and whenever something difficult happened to him, the parent would always turn around and say, but you know I love you. No response needed. Another person talked about prison of the mind, because he happened to be in prison for a time, and he discovered that the prison wasn't the bars, but it's up here. Another person talked about being a grandfather and teaching his 15-year-old grandson how to drive with his brand new truck. Another person talked about trying again in an exercise program that he wanted to win $10,000 in, but he had to exercise and buff up and write a story about how he was doing that. He tried it 3 times, quit in the middle each time. On the 4th try, he actually continued the program and actually won. Another person talked about activating your voice, but he wasn't talking about your voice. He was talking about the inner voice. Listen to the inner voice and you'll never go wrong. Another person talked about his wife and his child, his brand new child. He was torn between helping her because she was in distress or holding a little child who was just born. He was torn. And his conclusion was very interesting. And the only woman amongst the 9 folks talked about catching that thought. When you talk to people and they have like a little light bulb that comes on, that's actually catching the thought. So that was real interesting as well. And I could go on for probably about an hour and a half more because there was so much more to say. But I wanted to give you the highlights of how interesting and how important a conference can be. Now the next conference is coming up in the fall. I believe it's November 11 and 12. It's going to be in our neck of the woods in Rancho Cordova at the Marriott Hotel on 50 and Sunrise. And I want all of you to be there. I want all of you to be there. I insist. I'm going to bug you until November because on Friday evening, and you can come for free, you don't have to have dinner, and you don't have to pay an entry fee. You can come for free and sit in the audience and watch me become the Distinguished Toastmaster. Now, I've worked for 2 years to do this. It's coming, and I'm so excited about it. I want to share it with all of you. But not only will you see that little ceremony, and I actually have a 1 to 2 minutes talk, so I really have to practice that. But I was told, no, when you become a DTM, that means don't time me. No, that's not true. But anyway, come because I want you also to experience the keynote speaker. You will not be disappointed. It's well worth your Friday evening. And if you want to come for the Saturday conference, again, it's well worth your time. Thank you so much.